I would like to call to order the February 25th, 2026 meeting of the Camarillo City Council, the Sanitary District, the Library Board, and the successor agency to order. Would you conduct a roll call, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Councilmember Santangelo,
Here.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo,
Here.
Councilmember Kildy,
Here.
Councilmember Tremblay, and Mayor Tennyson.
Here. My watch is talking to me. Will the city attorney read our closed session items?
Yes, Mayor and Council, we have two matters on closed session. The first one is existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1. It's the OPV Coalition versus Fox Canyon Groundwater Management Agency. The second matter is anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2, and there's one matter. And if there's any reportable action, I'll make that report.
We will now recess to closed session and reconvene at 5 p.m. We will reconvene the February 25th, 2026 Camarillo City Council, Sanitary District, Library Board, and Successor Agency meeting. Let the record reflect that all council members are present, and I'm going to ask Councilmember Tremblay if he would please lead us in the pledge.
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, we will move on to our first presentation, and I'm going to read this from the chair here. Tonight, we are honored to recognize and thank Kevin Jorgensborg for more than 19 years of dedicated service to the city of Camarillo. Kevin began his career in June 2006, just before the completion of the Camarillo Public Library, and quickly became instrumental in shaping and maintaining the facilities and fleet that serve our community every day. He oversaw significant projects, including the Camarillo Ranch barn retrofit, renovations at City Hall, the Corporation Yard, the council chambers, and the fleet garage, and the installation of the police department generator. He led space planning efforts across departments and modernized facilities to meet the city's evolving needs. When challenges arose, Kevin consistently rose to the occasion, responding to late-night security calls, leading the City Hall fire recovery in 2023, and coordinating emergency repairs with professionalism and steady resolve. Kevin strengthened the organization through long-term planning, helping develop the city's ADA and facility reserve studies and initiating a preventative maintenance program that elevated standards citywide. Under his leadership, the facilities division grew in staffing and expertise, guided by a culture of trust, accountability, and teamwork. In fleet services, Kevin ensured regulatory compliance, supported the transition to zero-emission vehicles, and maintained careful oversight of his budgets. Though based at the Corp Yard, Kevin remained visible and accessible throughout the organization, supporting departments and community events alike, and above all, demonstrating a deep commitment to this city and its people. On behalf of the City Council, city staff, and the entire Camarillo community, we extend our sincere appreciation for Kevin's exemplary service and dedicated leadership, and offer our very best wishes for a well-earned retirement. And now, Kevin, I'm going to invite you up in front of the city seal. Are you happy, Kevin?
I'm very happy.
Are you? Are you going to miss us at all?
Yes, of course.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on a well-earned and well-deserved retirement. Obviously, the city thinks very highly of you, and I'm sure you think very highly of the city.
I do.
We appreciate all of your efforts. We appreciate your hard work. We appreciate the team that you assembled to keep our buildings open and operating, our vehicles open and operating. And with that, I thank you. And before I give you this, I'm going to ask any of the council members if they have comments. Who'd like to go first? Mr. Kildee.
I always liked you, Kevin, because of your first name. That was excellent. There was a song that kind of starts off, you picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille, and I'm going to say that to you because I don't know where I'm going to get my information about Notre Dame football now. You were the walking encyclopedia for my knowledge about Notre Dame. All kidding aside, Kevin, you did a great job. You were a delight to work with. You're knowledgeable and hardworking, and you made my life as a council member easier because of you and many of your colleagues that are here with you tonight. I think it speaks volumes about, and I've been through a few of these, when somebody retires, how many of their colleagues are here to kind of support them, and there's a whole bunch. That's really neat about Camarillo. When we get a retiree, a lot of times, a lot of the colleagues are here as well. So wish you nothing but the best in retirement. Hope you're not going to be a stranger. I want to thank your family and your significant others for sharing Kevin with us all these years. I know it was a tough job. It's not an 8-to-5 job in any stretch of the imagination here, but it never went unnoticed. We were always thankful for the job that you did. And I think if you look at our facilities in Camarillo, they're pretty darn good. And a lot of the credit goes to you and your efforts. So good luck in your retirement. I wish you nothing but success. And, give me a text or something. Let me know how the Golden Domers are doing, okay? All right. Thank you.
Mr. Tremblay.
I'm going to be uncharacteristically succinct. When we agree with what our fellow council members have said, we just typically say ditto. And I will say ditto. I will add, though, that Kevin, I think your level of effort day in and day out has just been exemplary. And I agree, when you see this many city staff who are here to wish you the best in retirement, that just speaks volumes. So thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Well, I think between the number of Kevins and the number of Davids in the city, we're in a competition here. But Kevin, there were 3 words that were utilized to describe you. It was building trust, accountability, and hard work. And I agree with every one of those words. In addition, I will add happy, because although I've only been here for about 3 years, going on my 4th, every time that I encounter you, you always seem so happy and grateful to be here. And we are extremely happy and grateful that you served the city in this capacity, and you really left a mark into who Camarillo is, and we will be forever grateful for that. So thank you so much for all of your work, and invite us to the retirement party. I always offer that. Thank you.
Councilmember Santangelo.
Thank you, Mayor. Kevin, as an elected, when I'm out in the community, I often get thanked for how well-run this city is. And I usually say, it's really not me. It's people like you who put their heart into the job and make this city what it can be. And you have literally left your mark on this city because of the infrastructure projects and how much you've done to help build this city to what it is today. So thank you so much, and good luck to what you have in your future.
Testing. Now, Kevin, you get something that is very, very rare. There's only like 8 or 9 people well, maybe a few more, in the history of the city that get the city tile. So, Kevin, on behalf of the city, we want to present you with this city tile that has your dates of service on it. And I know Michelle's going to want to take a picture. Oh, hold it, Michelle. I don't want to get it. Sure. Come on up, family. That's it. Slide over.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Now, Kevin, it's your turn.
Oh, boy. Thank you, Dave, city council members, staff. Yeah, it was an honor to work here. I felt that fortunately, I had the budget to do what I wanted to do, and I was given freedom to do what I wanted to do without anybody looking over my head. So it was very important to me to have that trust in order to do my job. And to my fellow, or almost my fellow staff members out there, I really appreciate you guys. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have a job, since people have facilities need people. Without people, you don't have facilities. So I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Madam Clerk, are we doing the public comments on non-agendized items before the presentations?
Yes, it's a time to do general public comment. And I
that
do have 2 people signed up for that. The rules are you'll be called up and you're given 3 minutes, and you'll see your timer with your up in the corner in the TV screen. And then when we move on to the next person, the microphone will be muted. So the first person is Spencer Ritchie. Would you come on up?
Welcome, Spencer.
Hi. Okay. Hello, my name is Spencer Ritchie. I have a few concerns. One is the eternal one that you as a city council are not doing anywhere near. Like you're pretty much doing nothing in your power to put your foot down against ICE and what they're doing. And yeah, so that'll be on, hopefully that'll sit on all your consciences until you do actually do something. And then the second concern I had is, so all the agenda item public comments are just being pushed to the end of the agenda items now. Okay. And then 3, there is no, like, I am so frustrated. So I work at the senior center 1 day a week, and my shift ends at 4:45, which you'll notice is before the end of the regular workday. I work Thursday afternoons. However, I cannot take a route bus that will take me home to within walking distance of my house in Mission Oaks, because the last bus that goes from the senior center to Mission Oaks, it stops there at 4. Which I understand is when the senior center closes. However, that's a whole hour before the rest of the community center closes. And at the same time, the city has not yet beefed up either its bus routes or its dollar-ride paratransit services. So for the past, it is very common for me now to have to beg a ride home off my coworkers because, I can't get a dollar ride home. Obviously, I can't take the route bus home. And I do not think that as an adult who is clearly able to work in the community on my own, I should have to make my family come and pick me up. And I shouldn't have to be spending, half my half my hour, what I make on ride shares either. Like, this is, and the city doesn't offer, official carpools or rides for anything for those who can't drive. So again, that is a huge failure on the city's part that, I as a public employee often cannot take the bus because there's no bus service. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Spencer.
Okay, and our second person is Claudia.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay. I haven't been here for the beginning of the year, but that's because I started a new employment. I'm now officially staff with 805 on DocuFund, which I am here to share our minimum numbers of kidnappings in the Central Coast, Ventura County, and Camarillo. These numbers are, again, minimum because they're only numbers that we know of. There are probably more out there that we are not aware of. For the Ventura County area, we have 850 minimum kidnappings. For Camarillo specifically, we have 452. 335 of those are from Glass House because even though the city doesn't say that unincorporated is Camarillo, it's still Camarillo. And the remainder of those numbers, 117, a majority are from 321 Cortez, where the ICE facility is located here in town. For the Tri-County, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura County, we have a minimum of 1,647. Those are families that have been separated, breadwinners that have been taken. So we're just here to remind you that that's consistently going. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's all I have.
Thank you. We will move on to item D. We're going to have a State of the Region report from the Ventura County Civic Alliance, and I'd like to invite David Marin up.
Thank you, Mayor Tennyson, members of the council, staff, Commander Tennyson, and the audience. I'm David Marin with the Ventura County Civic Alliance. Every 2 years, we publish this report, and we are able to go around and share this with the general community because of the generosity of our sponsors, several large ones, Ventura County Community Foundation, the community colleges of Ventura County, California Resources, County of Ventura, Cal State Channel Islands, Limonera, the Port of Hueneme, and also the Office of Education. So thanks to their generosity, we can really share this around the county. Some highlights about the State of the Region, the Civic Alliance. As I said, it's published every 2 years. We do list all of our sources in the back if anyone wants to dig deeper, page 113. For members of the audience or anyone watching at home, you can read this or download it online at civicalliance.org. And the Civic Alliance is a neutral, unbiased 501c3 nonprofit. So some highlights, this is not in the report. We could not include population stats because of the government shutdown when we were publishing the report. But Camarillo, your population over the last few years, slightly higher. You can see several cities have all declined, including Oxnard there. This is a little bit more detailed. So the County of Ventura, the green bars are the total population for that community, the county in this case, and the blue is just the number 0 to 17, our young people. So you can see that from 2017 to 2024, we lost 10,000 total residents in the County of Ventura. However, we lost 20,000 young people. So that means our 16 and 17-year-olds aged out of that chart, and we're not replenishing it with enough young people. I'm going to come back to that point over the rest of the conversation, but you can see the average age in Ventura County continues to get older. Here's what it looks like for the city of Camarillo. So the good news is the city of Camarillo is pretty much held even on the under 18s, 14,500 to 14,540. The adults did go up a little bit. You're doing much better than other counties. And you can see that the median age actually came down a bit before going back up. But 41.2 is much higher than the county average of 39.6. We're just an older community. Some highlights from the report. Agriculture, strawberries continue to be our top crop, $700 million. Agriculture is about $2 billion industry. And one thing to keep in mind, it's 3.3% of our economy in this chart, but over the years, it was much higher, 5%. So our economy has grown, but ag has stayed flat at about $2 billion. And we all know it's very difficult, water, labor, pest, the different things that make it so difficult to grow here in Ventura County. Community engagement, your elected officials, so I like to share the stats about registration. Blue is Democrats, red are Republicans, green is the no party preference. So over the last 23 years, the Democratic registration went up slightly, but the Republicans took a large hit across the time frame. Most of those that they lost went to no party preference. And by city, so Camarillo is actually the closest as far as between Republicans and Democrats. there's only about a 3% differential between Dems and Republicans. Dems are the plurality in Camarillo. Simi Valley is the only city in the county that has a plurality of Republicans. And Oxnard and Ojai have actually a majority Democrat. Of course, that's registration and not voter turnout. So we have a lot of data in the reports, some new numbers, if you're familiar with our older reports about nonprofits. We rank them as far as top assets, top revenue. But this chart I'd like to show because up here, you can see that there's about 11,000 employees who work in the nonprofit sector in Ventura County. So I think we tend to take that for granted, how many people are making up that safety net for us. In the economy section, this is a difficult chart. There's several pages of this for goods producing, service providing, and government. The takeaway, and you've heard me, those of you who've been here 2 years ago, we are seeing high-paying jobs, seeing high-paying jobs in areas like financial activities, 112,000, IT, 100,000, but those are the industries where we're losing workers. We're gaining workers in areas like leisure and hospitality, but that pays a lot less. So certainly we need to recruit higher paying jobs. We need to retain those companies that are here now that are providing those high paying jobs. This is an overall growth in our economy, sort of similar to the national gross domestic product. If you're familiar with this from other reports or you go back and look, you'll see completely different numbers. And that's because every time we produce this report, we restate everything in inflation adjusted dollars. So you can see that back in 2007, we peaked at about a $72 billion economy. We sank after the Great Recession. We sort of plateaued there. We came back a little bit. Then we had the pandemic that dropped us back down. But we still have been right around the 65 million, 62 million, while many other regions of the state and the country have seen significant growth. So Ventura County just hasn't been able to get a burst of growth. And that could portend problems if we have another recession, because we just don't have enough of those kind of industries that we want. Taxable sales, Camarillo continues to do very well, of course. The outlet malls, there was a little bit of a drop there. Auto sales certainly helps Ventura, Thousand Oaks, and Oxnard. Oxnard, obviously, as city manager and others would say, it's the Amazon effect as far as how much sales tax they're collecting through that city. And tourism, so Camarillo isn't quite as much tourism as places like Ventura and certainly Ojai, but it's been stable, so that's positive. The Ojai numbers are off the charts there, and that is the Ojai Valley Inn effect. You know, when you can charge that much per night, you're really bringing in money. I would say to Camarillo's benefit, though, it's great that we don't rely on a single source like Ojai does. Education, I talked about the decline in the young people. This chart shows you the projections for enrollment. So the green is the higher grades, 9 through 12. Blue is K through 8. And you can see that we are just projected to decline. And just for a little information up here, 1973, 50 years ago, we had 419,000 residents. We've doubled that in the last 50 years. Now we're starting to go down, but just keep in mind, we doubled in 50 years. But if you look at the number of students, 50 years ago, we were around 107,000. Today, we're around 122,000. We barely added 15,000, even though we doubled the size of our county. So this is just obviously serious issues for most of our counties. Here's how it looks in the different school districts. Oxnard Union High School, the top line there is 2021-22, and the blue line on the bottom is 2024. So the Oxnard High School District dropped from 18,000 to 16,900. Now, when you first look at Pleasant Valley Elementary, it actually looks pretty positive, like there's been some growth, and that's great. But Pleasant Valley Elementary, or Pleasant Valley School District, has more of these virtual charters than any other school district. So they have a lot of students who really do not attend school. It's just they are the governing board for certain virtual academies. So when you take out those charter students, their enrollment also has declined from about 5,700, actually I should say increased slightly to 5,800. Now I'm often asked when I show this chart, well, isn't that because all of the parents are taking their kids out of public schools, putting them in private schools, or deciding to homeschool them? And so although it's not in your reports, I put in this chart showing that even the private schools have seen a decline over the years. So it's not homeschooling, it's not private schools, it's a lack of babies. That's why our schools are seeing these kind of challenges. There's a lot of data in here showing every school district in the county and every school as far as measuring how many of the students either met or exceeded the state standard for English in this example, and there's also math in there. So you can see that when you give all these students the scores and they're averaged and, well, they're adjusted across all of the boundaries for every school site and every class level, we have a range of accomplished schools and schools that are doing a little less. Pleasant Valley actually is doing fairly good. I mean, none of the schools get anywhere near 90%, but even across the county, none of our schools are really getting anywhere near 100% students meet or exceed the standards. So a lot of data there for you to look into. Land use and housing. So housing starts are up a little bit. We had the highest total since 2017. Home ownership in Camarillo continues to be a nice, almost 2/3. So very positive for stable neighborhoods. The median housing price did go up to 1.1 million in June. It's always important to know which month. We do the comparisons, which was a hefty increase from 925,000, although it seems like numbers are starting to flatten out. Apartment rents, very expensive across the county. Camarillo is no different. I'm going to try to hustle through the last of these slides. Interestingly, Camarillo has the second highest water use per capita in the county. For whatever reason that is. I mean, it's usually the warmer, wealthier areas with the larger lots like Westlake and Thousand Oaks. Port Hueneme and Oxnard very low because they're sort of near the coast. So interesting data. This is the statistic that reinforces my points about the declining enrollment, the lack of children. Back in 1990, we had 19 births per 1,000 residents. Here we are in 2023, almost half, 10.2. So, and I say it to every council, every group I speak to, I mean, there must be policies we can look at to make childcare more affordable. It's $15,000 for a toddler. Can we have easier regulations so families can create childcare centers in their homes? Can we, and EDC and First Five are all trying to work in these areas. Can employers like yourselves and others offer more family-friendly services, flexible hours for young families? But we really have to find a way to have a recruitment campaign to tell young people that Camarillo, Port Hueneme, Oxnard, these are the places to come to raise your family. And I think that's going to be an ongoing challenge until we do something about it. We included cancer rates. Interestingly, Ventura County is a little higher on these cancer rates when you look through it. And if you look at the other large counties, you'll see that some of them are coastal. I don't know if that has any correlation or if that's just any causation or if it's just correlation. Some people might argue we have higher rates because we have better detection. We have better doctors. That's one I can't answer. Is it better doctors finding the various cancers, or we just have a much higher incidence? Ventura County continues to be the safest large county in the state. Very good news. Camarillo continues to be very good on the crime. Commander Tennyson and all of the team that are working in that area doing a great job. We did have an increase in violent crime. Property crimes did decrease a little bit. In your reports, you'll see that juvenile crime has actually crept up across the county. Surprisingly, male and female juvenile crime is up. And wrapping up, here's food shares, doing a lot of work in Camarillo, 946,000 pounds. Homelessness is steady. Domestic violence, a little higher than some of the other cities. It was the highest in 4 years. And transportation, we continue to see people working at home, even though the pandemic is over. So we're still seeing, and this just shows us how we sit compared to all the other counties. And with that, thank you for your indulgence. A little extra, sorry about that.
Thank you, David. Any questions for Mr. Marin? Councilmember Santangelo.
I didn't have any questions,
Oh,
but
you
thank you
didn't?
for being
Oh.
here. I really
It's
appreciate it,
always
and I
my pleasure.
I look forward to getting this every 2 years, so thank you.
Mr. Kildee.
Yeah, David, thanks for being here. I always look forward to you sharing this data. And you've done this a while, David. Is there anything that you can come up with that we can do to try to work on, I don't want to say improving our numbers, but maybe some things that we can do here? As we all know, you kind of round up the usual suspects. You know, we all know it's an expensive place to live. We all know that childcare is very expensive. But one of the things that I think a lot of folks have tried to do is bring higher paying jobs here to try to mitigate some of these issues. Is there anything that you can come up maybe that we ought to be doing that we're not, or something, you know, the next time when you come here that we've really tried to double down on this, and the numbers have shown that at least there's been an effort in that?
So a couple of quick thoughts. So each of the cities, most of them at least, have economic development managers who are working to recruit those jobs. I'm not sure how we have a strategy across the county. I mean, have we decided, or should we decide, that maybe Simi Valley gets the finance companies and Camarillo sort of focuses on the pharmaceutical related industries? Oxnard works on manufacturing. So it's not just Camarillo advocating for themselves and other cities, but could there be more of a collective effort? And I think the county sort of thinks about doing that. I do think it'd be great if the city managers, when they have their meeting, could maybe tackle something like childcare. Could all of the cities get together and figure out, can we improve things in those areas? Because some cities, some counties are obviously doing much better. The other area that I think we could do an even better job on, it's not just recruiting those large, well-paying jobs, but doing something to retain, to recognize, to acknowledge the companies that we have here. Could Meissner have an award given to them, or other things that would actually mean something to some of these companies? But it's great that Meissner is here in Ventura County. Are we doing everything we can to get rid of any sand in the gears so that they can continue to grow and excel? And what about all the other large companies, Flynn Road and otherwise? So yes, it's great to be going out to LA County and other places to try and get companies, but let's not lose anybody we have. Thousand Oaks, very blessed to be able to have Amgen grow and add a $600 million facility. But Camarillo is just as great a place to live and work as Thousand Oaks. Are there other companies that maybe we could get them to invest more here for other reasons? So I would say trying to figure out a comprehensive strategy, working with EDC, First Five on childcare. How can we lower cost, improve regulations, make it faster for these? A lot of times it's just, a mother who's decided to do it, but overwhelmed with all the regulations. So I'd say some kind of team to help them get that through. And another idea is more of the centers, so a childcare center on Flynn Road. It would still charge people, but we have people in Camarillo who get up in the morning, drive their kids to Thousand Oaks to a childcare center, and then drive back here or maybe to Oxnard for their jobs. So if we could have childcare centers closer to where all the jobs are, that also might be an inducement that makes it a healthy way to attract companies to come here, because we are focused on their young people and their families. So those are some ideas off the top of my head.
Thank you. I always look forward to reading this. I appreciate you and your team's effort. If you could pass that along, I appreciate it.
Even though my first name's not Kevin? You still,
Even though.
okay.
You're allowed, David.
Thank you, David.
I know.
Vice Mayor?
I said there was a competition between
Yeah.
the Davids. And David, thank you so much. I did have a question regarding the cancer rates. I know that's a new addition to the information that you're providing. How did you gather that information?
So the data comes, I believe, from the California State Public Health Department. They produce these data on a variety of statistics, and it's in the sources. And then what we did, though, because there's so many counties, we just tried to look at the top 20 or 19, whatever number it is, and see where Ventura County ranked. Now, there are many cancers listed on their website, and it's not too hard, if I recall, to understand their website. You can put in and say, well, do it just by males, just by females. We did that, females for breast, males for the prostate. But there's a lot of cancers that Ventura County wasn't so high up on. So we just decided to go with the top 3, breast cancer, prostate, and leukemia, and then overall, all cancers. One other quick point, the report is listing incidence, which is different than prevalence. So if 100 people moved from LA today and had leukemia, that would not change our stats because they already have it. Incidence is the number of people within a given period of time that come down with the cancer. Prevalence is just how many people overall have that cancer.
Okay. Yeah, that was my following question in terms of when the data is collected, that number is based on where the person resides,
Correct.
not the city where they're diagnosed necessarily.
Correct. You would have a huge number in places like Azusa, where City of Hope
Right.
is, if it was that way. So no, it is based on residents.
Okay. And
Great question.
does the data show at all if there are certain populations? Maybe more
Ethnicities? Is that what you mean as far as ethnicities?
or even like workforce. Like I'm thinking, like I work with the farm working community, and we get quite a bit of children and farm worker parents diagnosed with cancer.
Some of the data, as I recall, is broken out by ethnicity, but not occupation.
Got it.
So, and Vice Mayor, if you want to look at that stat or you have questions about it, you know how to reach me. I'd be happy to help answer any further questions if
Thank you
that's
so
something you want to
much.
dive into.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Mr. Tremblay.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. David, thanks. As always, this is a really well-received and deep dive into the data. We use it all the time. It actually precipitates all kinds of conversations at meals and elsewhere. You know, when I can say, well, go to page X and the State of the Region report will be here. So I really wanted to thank you, and I also wanted to acknowledge, it's on page 5, both your executive committee and the advisory support, and then the writing by Tony Biasotti at Ventura County Star. He's been doing this now for, goodness,
Since I
many
think it
years?
was his 6th one.
6th one. So it's extremely well done, and I know Colleen Kaysen is doing the editing. So
Yeah, it's great to have an editor.
they do a great job in addition to Mustang Marketing. So all of the folks together, it's a whole team that does this. So thank you again. It's really
I
well
will
done
share the council's remarks with the
and well
board.
received. Thank you.
David, thank you. And I just want to say the kickoff event 6 weeks ago now,
Well,
8
that
weeks
was
ago?
early November.
Oh, was it that long ago?
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun. But it was very informative. It was a little bit longer than your presentation tonight, but I'd urge the council in 2 years, if you have an opportunity to attend that event and get a lot more information, plus the panel discussion that you always have is useful. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Okay, we will go to item E, and I guess we're going to have our Assistant Library Director, Lisa Given, give us the presentation this evening. Welcome.
Hello, good evening, Mayor David Tennyson and library trustees. I'm Lisa Given, Assistant Library Director for Camarillo Public Library. Black History Month is observed for the month of February and recognizes the various contributions, talent, and influence of Black educators, leaders, and artists. To kick things off, Russell Fisher Business Services Coordinator Megan Profeta reached out to the founder and director of Project 50 to curate a special selection of 10 books, plus a bonus read by Project 50 founder and director Dexter Nunnery. These books are located upstairs on the second floor and inspire all readers, regardless of their background, to explore, reflect, and be inspired by the stories of resilience and triumph that the authors have to offer. Since it debuted this month, we've had 128 views of the reading list. The library invited Ina Buckner Barnett, known as the Sunshine Storyteller, to lead a music and movement activity for children that promoted the African and Black American storytelling traditions. 26 people attended. For teens, licensed cosmetologist Shanae Ralph shared the rich history and cultural significance of braiding and locks. Afterwards, 11 people were able to receive hands-on braiding instruction. For adults, we welcomed Ventura County Research Library docent and researcher Andy Ludlam, who presented stories of African American voices from Ventura County. Later this week, California State University Channel Islands English professor Raquel Baker will lead a discussion on Black speculative fiction. These activities play a role in supporting the City of Camarillo's strategic plan by providing opportunities to foster an inclusive and accessible environment for all. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to address any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Lisa? Comment?
No questions, just a comment. I mean, thank you for all the programming and thank you for highlighting Black History Month this month. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we will move on to council comments. I'm going to ask Councilmember Tremblay to kick this off if he's ready.
Sure, thanks, Mr. Mayor. For meetings attended since February 11, February 12 with Metrolink, their Customer Appreciation Day in Simi Valley. On February 17, the Fox Canyon GMA Fiscal Committee. On February 18, I had a board meeting for CASA, California Association of Sanitation Agencies. February 19th with Metrolink on its strategic business plan. On February 23, 24, until late yesterday afternoon, and I just returned today from CASA's policy forum in Washington, D.C. I personally had 3 separate meetings with EPA staff, primarily regarding state revolving fund and federal WIFIA loan programs, looking ahead to our wastewater treatment plant rehabilitation or new plant in a few years. At the policy forum, the presentations included topics on both congressional priorities as well as stakeholder priorities, and that ran the gamut from PFAS and what to do relative to PFAS liability, federal financing of water projects, wastewater treatment projects, cybersecurity, which is a real concern for everybody at this point, and then also CASA's priorities, including extending the length of NPDES permits, National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permits, from 5 years to 10 years. And we're hoping that that gains some traction in Congress. We believe it is. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Councilmember Santangelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be quick. On February 19th, I attended the CPA Executive Committee. February 25th, today, was the Investment and Finance Committee. And then after that, I had the CPA Finance Committee. It's Finance Day today. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kildee.
Yes, February 19th, I attended a VRSD board meeting. February 25th, today, I attended the Investment and Finance Committee meeting with Ms. Santangelo. And I just want to end again, I want to thank Kevin Jorgen's board for his 19 years of service to the city. And I can remember when Kevin was hired, and he did a yeoman's job, and he was delightful to work with. So that's all I'm going to say tonight.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo.
Thank you, Mayor. February 19th, I attended the Economic Development Collaborative meeting. And then also along with my colleagues, February 21st to the 24th, I also traveled to Washington, D.C., along with Mayor Tennyson, Councilmember Tremblay, and city staff to attend the CASA conference, which is the California Association of Sanitation Agencies. And we were also able to participate in multiple legislative meetings with Senator Schiff's office, with Senator Alex Padilla, and also Congresswoman Julia Brownley. And so we saw congressional support for our wastewater treatment plant, which is going to be the most expensive capital improvement project in our city's history. So definitely need that continued support. Support for the deteriorating Las Posas Bridge, which in the past, Congresswoman Brownlee has been very supportive. And also our Forest Main Resiliency Project, pump stations, water wells, and the modernization of our emergency radio network. And in addition, as Congresswoman Julia Brownlee is retiring from Congress, we also took the opportunity to thank her for her tremendous support to the city of Camarillo over the years, as well for her accessibility, for always being there, and for her strong presence throughout her entire term. The city of Camarillo is extremely grateful for her commitment to prioritizing our community and securing funding and support for our infrastructure projects. Additionally, I also thanked the Congresswoman for her steadfast advocacy on behalf of our veterans and our farm workers and everyday families throughout Ventura County. She continues to work hard and intends to see that the city's requests are met throughout she'll work hard to get those met through the end of this Congress. She also indicated that, she has a strong working relationship, which we see and we have seen throughout the years here with the city, and she has appreciated over the years so much of that. So I am just very, very grateful for all of her work. And that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. On February 14th, I was invited to represent the city at the Ventura County Chinese American Association's New Year's celebration, the Year of the Horse. And a lot of times when we go to these events, we're there for half an hour, 45 minutes, make a presentation and walk out. The entertainment was so thrilling, and it was a fantastic atmosphere. It was about a 3.5 hour, 3 hour and 45 minute. We have a very vibrant Chinese community in Ventura County and in Camarillo. The Chinese culture and the production of our Chinese Americans here is something worthy of celebrating. And if you get a chance, look next year. It's quite a show and a lot of fun. February 19th, I attended a conference, a half-day conference at Cal Lutheran University titled California's Housing Crisis, Roots of the Problem and What Lies Ahead. Very informative conference. And I gave staff copies of the 158-page report, and I'm sure they will share it with the rest of the council. On February 19th, I attended the Ventura Council of Governments Admin Committee meeting. That evening, I attended an RDP event to bid farewell to our 25-year executive director for the Regional Defense Partnership. And then again with Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo and Councilmember Tremblay, I was in Washington, D.C., but I will point out that Councilmember Tremblay was there wearing his hat as the president of the California Association of Sanitation Agencies and did not participate in any of the briefings or meetings that Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo and I had. So there was no Brown Act problem. He did his thing, we did ours. We were well received at the legislative offices, and hopefully we will get some of the requests honored that we made of our 3 federal legislators. And that is it. Any changes to the consent calendar? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments on consent calendar?
Yes, I do have one person that signed up under consent calendar, Spencer Ritchie, but I don't see Spencer.
Okay, we will move on. Any questions from council?
I'll move the approval of consent.
Tremblay, second.
We have a motion and a second.
And I'm going to take a roll call vote. Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Kildee,
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay, and Mayor Tennyson.
Yes,
And that passes unanimously.
thank you. With that, we'll move on to item L, amending the home occupancy permit fees. And I believe we're going to have George Winkler, our Economic and Business Development Manager.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight, staff recommends adoption of a resolution amending home occupation permit fees to better match the actual cost of service and reduce barriers for home-based businesses. So under the California Constitution, regulatory and user fees may not exceed the estimated reasonable cost of the service. So staff conducted an early targeted review, even as we're preparing a broader user fee study, because home-based businesses are an important entry point for local entrepreneurship. What we found was the actual administrative effort to process home occupation permits is lower than initially projected when prior fees were adopted. So what changed operationally? OpenGov permitting has significantly reduced administrative tasks and streamlined intake, review routing, communication, and record retention, creating measurable operational efficiencies. The proposed fees reflect those efficiencies and the current level of effort. So the community development fee changes addressed in this resolution include the cottage-based or the home-based cottage food permit, currently at $420, which is removed in this update, and it will be processed as a regular home occupation with inspection. So two fees for that regular home occupation with inspection. One is for single-family residents. That's reduced from $270 to $110. And those in the apartment multifamily units, that's reduced from $150 to $90. We introduced a new administrative-only, no inspection required category. That's $25, which reflects home offices with low-impact permits that can be approved administratively without field verification in any housing type. So for context, that's just the community development fee portion. The current all-in cost for an initial approval of a very small home-based business includes our technology surcharge fee at 11.34%, a general plan maintenance surcharge fee of 17.89%, plus the $25 minimum business tax and a $4 California Access Specialist fee. So under the prior single-family home-based office base fee of $270, the total was about $378 all in. Under the new standard, a single-family fee of $110, that's about $171 all in. And for cases that qualify for that $25 no inspection pathway, that's about $61 all in. So that's about an 83% decrease for those home-based offices with no inspection. We also reviewed nearby jurisdictions, and our current all-in cost was significantly higher. But this update moves Camarillo into the lower end of the bracket, which is very competitive for small startups. The fiscal impact of the recommended resolution reduces projected general fund revenue associated with these permits, but revised fees better match the actual cost. For context, staff processes an average of 135 home-based business applications per year. So the fiscal impact is expected to be around $19,000 per year, while the barrier to reduction is meaningful to those new home-based businesses that come into City Hall. It's worth noting that prior fees were lawfully adopted, and the resolution states that refunds or no refunds are warranted. If adopted, the revised fee will be effective tomorrow, February 26th. In closing, staff recommends council adopt the resolution amending home occupation permit fees as presented, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council? Mr. Kildee.
Yeah, George, did we do a little bit of a comparison with other cities when we collected the data, or was it just based on what our cost of providing a service typically runs?
Yeah, when we calculated the cost as proposed, we actually timed staff for each step of the process, so it's the actual cost of the service. And then we reviewed the other agencies just to double check, and we came in at the low end of that. So I believe, just for comparison, Oxnard for a single-family home-based business is about $266. Moore Park's $248. Thousand Oaks is $153. Ventura was $61, and now we will also be at $61 for that no inspection fee.
Thank you.
No other questions? Are there any public comments?
No, I don't see any.
Council discussion?
I'll move the approval.
I can second.
Mr. Kildee has a comment.
Just a comment, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Part of what we try to do here is to try to get compliance. I've always kind of thought of fees as not only try to gather the cost of our participation in it with our people hours here, but also I've kind of looked at as an opportunity for people to do it, I don't want to say the right way, but let's just say do it away. And when the fees get up to a certain level, the compliance gets a little more challenging. So I think it's really great that the staff and the council are continuously looking into this through efficiencies and whatnot that we could do. And I think it kind of bears some fruit of this. And you don't see it happen too much. So when it does, hooray, right? So those are my comments.
Anybody else? We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Yes, Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Kildee,
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay, and Mayor Tennyson.
Yes.
And that passes unanimously.
Thank you. We will move on to item M, a proposed zoning ordinance amendment to certain sections of Title 19. And I believe we have Megan that's going to make the presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Tennyson and council members. Staff are very excited about this proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance. The purpose of this amendment is to clarify zoning requirements, streamline the development review process, provide consistency across zoning districts, reorganize land uses to be more user-friendly, and create more flexibility in the application of development standards. These changes are intended to make the development review process more efficient and business-friendly, and we also want to provide staff with additional tools to administer the code. Currently, permitted uses for the 7 commercial and 3 industrial zones are listed separately within each zoning chapter. This requires users to flip back and forth between multiple chapters to compare the requirements for each use in each zone. We wanted to create a more user-friendly format, so we are proposing to replace the use lists in each chapter with a land use matrix. This allows easy comparison of the uses and requirements across all commercial and industrial zones. We are also recommending a few use-related changes. We are proposing to regulate ancillary uses by the amount of square footage that they occupy, rather than by percentage of sales, because percentage of sales is very difficult to verify and enforce. We are also proposing to allow laundry and dry cleaning facilities in the village commercial mixed-use zone where they are currently not permitted to encourage mixed-use developments and localize this service type use. And we are proposing to allow restaurants by right within the professional office and the light and limited manufacturing zones. Restaurants are currently a permitted use in the LM and M1 zones and not a permitted use in the PO zone. These changes are intended to streamline the permitting process for new restaurants and provide convenient dining options for employees working in these areas. We are also proposing to allow museums as a permitted use in the M1 zone, where they are currently not permitted, to encourage adaptive reuse of vacant industrial buildings. The next category of changes that we are recommending are intended to improve current review processes. Right now, plan development permit and appeals process requirements are strewn across all of the zoning chapters, and we have created new standalone PDP and appeals chapters to improve consistency. We have also created a new permit application withdrawal process for CUPs and PDPs at the discretion of the director if an applicant does not complete their application 180 days after we notify them that their application is incomplete. This is intended to motivate applicants to move applications forward and make our records clearer regarding active projects. We are also proposing to increase permit terms for CUPs and PDPs from 12 to 24 months and allow the director to grant time extensions and elevate time extension requests to the Planning Commission for their approval. This avoids the need for applicants to reapply for permits if the project has not changed. Currently, the code requires similar use determinations to be made by the Planning Commission. We are proposing to modify this to allow these determinations to be made by the director and appeal to the Planning Commission. It would also allow the director to refer them to the Planning Commission and appeal the Planning Commission's decision to the City Council. This change allows straightforward use determinations to be handled quickly at the staff level, but keeps the discretionary process for more complex requests. We are also proposing to remove the director-level CUP process. It only applies to alcohol beverage manufacturing facilities and short-term daycare nurseries with more than 6 children. We are proposing to allow alcohol beverage manufacturing facilities with a CUP and nurseries by right. The DCUP process has not been used often, and we have found that it does not offer a benefit to applicants. The procedural and noticing requirements make the DCUP process take the same amount of time as the regular CUP process. And staff have found that alcohol beverage manufacturing facilities have the potential to create adverse impacts without the enforceability of conditions of approval. And short-term daycare nurseries are regulated by the state and will remain subject to the provisions of the zoning code. We are proposing to streamline the process for concurrent permit applications. So this would be something like a commercial development permit and an associated amendment to a specific plan. And it would allow staff to bring these to the Planning Commission and the City Council at the same time. With this amendment effort, we also wanted to make development standards more flexible to support economic development. We are proposing to remove the requirement for drive-throughs to provide separate window areas for payment and pickup, and the limitation on only one drive-through lane to allow more modern techniques to manage lines. We are also proposing to make some changes to off-street parking and loading requirements. We would like to remove the distance requirement for off-street parking to be located so many feet from the use that it serves. Instead, we are proposing to allow the director to determine if parking can be provided in a safe and convenient manner. We also want to change the loading space requirements so that the director can grant relief from the requirements if larger loading spaces are not needed by the operations of the business. In addition, we are proposing to allow reductions in the number of off-street parking spaces or other applicable parking requirements as appropriate when a parking study demonstrates that the requirement exceeds the anticipated parking demand for a new development. We also want to allow flexibility for lot size and setback requirements that apply to commercial zones as appropriate through the permit process. This will give smaller lots in commercial zones more development options. So all of this flexibility is intended to ensure that requirements align with the needs of each development. This can encourage more efficient land use, reduce development costs, support economic activity, improve design, accommodate changing freight needs, and encourage adaptive reuse and infill development. Staff have brought this item forward to support economic development goals, but we also will be completing a broader, more comprehensive review of the zoning code for consistency with the general plan update as part of the update effort. The Economic Development and Land Use Committee reviewed the proposed zoning ordinance amendment during its regular meeting on August 28, 2025, and expressed their support for the proposed amendment and suggested no changes. The Planning Commission reviewed the proposed amendment on December 2nd, 2025, and recommended approval to the City Council with a few minor changes for clarity. The recommendations for this item are listed on the slide before you. This concludes my presentation on the proposed zoning ordinance amendment, and I am happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions for Megan? Kevin?
Yeah, Megan, are some of these projected changes, is that state law driven, or is that just more efficiencies of what we're trying to do here?
I would say both. Actually, it's a great question. So the majority are kind of efficiency-related changes. The change to the DCUP process to allow the short-term daycare nurseries for more than 6 children by right is a change that is in alignment with state law.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Any other questions for Megan? Well, this is a public hearing. We'll open it up. Are there any public comments?
We do have one public comment that was submitted by Spencer Ritchie.
Welcome again, Spencer.
Hello. All right. Again, I'm Spencer Ritchie, and yeah, I do generally really like the suggestions that were proposed for the zoning. In general, I do agree that the zoning needs to be a lot more flexible than it currently is. in order to, make better use of what facilities we have. And then another thing I wanted to bring up is that I actually don't know if it's the city or the county that would, like, in the hypothetical scenario that ICE wanted to purchase land or, like warehouses to turn into a facility for them. Again, I don't know if that would be the city or county jurisdiction and if that would depend on where it was. But just putting in my 2 cents, we should not let ICE buy any more stuff beyond what they already have in the county, because we know the conditions that ICE is treating people in, even in our own county, especially at 321 Cortez Circle. Apparently, when Julia Brownlee recently took a tour of 321 Cortez Circle, she did comment on how, quote unquote, eerily quiet or, eerily silent, I don't know, it was. And then apparently, the morning of, somebody detained at 321 Cortez Circle had been taken to the hospital because I don't know what the people are doing to those detained at 321 Cortez that, so many ambulances and stuff have to be called to take detainees over to medical care. But yeah, I'd rather not have more of that in my town or, in our county in general, especially since word is coming out that at Dilley and other ICE facilities where minors are being detained, there are something called blue butterfly zones that are entirely teenage girls in these units. And no one who does not work for ICE is allowed to see or communicate with them. So, especially in light of the Epstein trafficking that we're finding more and more about, you can put 2 and 2 together about what that means, especially since the DOJ is centering Trump's involvement with Epstein and stuff. So let's not have that.
Thank you, Spencer. Council discussion.
I'll start it out.
Go ahead.
Yeah, when I was first elected, one of the issues in the city was off-site parking street, and it's still an issue today. But I appreciate the attempt, to be more flexible in what we're trying to do. Again, trying to get compliance on this. And when we look at these things, we look at it from a kind of a broad perspective here, and I appreciate staff looking at this and any efficiencies that we can do to try to make more compliance within the realm of what the state, too, is, well, for lack of a better term, demanding us to do. A lot of folks in the city have worked really hard to make Camarillo a unique place, and I appreciate staff and the council looking at that and doing what we can do to try to keep that kind of modus operandi kind of in the future here. So I think this efficiencies are a good thing. Hopefully it will help us streamline this and make the folks that use these services, make them more user-friendly, and I think that's a good thing. So those are my comments.
Thank you. Any other discussions? We'll entertain a motion.
I can
Go ahead.
I can move staff's recommendations 1 and 2.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Santangelo,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez Bravo,
Yes.
Councilmember Kilby,
Yes.
Councilmember Tremblay,
Yes.
and Mayor Tennyson.
Yes,
And that passes unanimously.
thank you. And Madam Clerk, I'm going to assume since we only had 2 speakers during non-agenda items, everybody had their opportunity. Will the city attorney please provide the closed session report?
So thank you, Mayor and Council. We did go into closed session earlier today on 2 items that were listed on the agenda, and there was no reportable action taken in closed session.
Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.
Council was very quiet.